and the Montgomery bus boycott.
Rosa Parks was an African-American civil rights activist. She was born in Tuskegee, Alabama in 1913, and later she went to the Industrial School for Girls in Montgomery. In her early life, she was intensely confronted with the separation between black and white people and the brutal acts of the Ku Klux Klan. As a grown-up, she still lived in Montgomery with her husband, and since 1943, she was a member of the civil rights movement. This alliance set the improvement of the African-American situation as its goal and also tried to support black people who were arrested for no reason. The most important act in Rosa Parks' life was her resistance against giving up her seat for white passengers in a bus in 1955, which led to the Montgomery bus boycott.
Following, you will listen to a recreation of an interview with the bus driver James Blake, which tries to describe the events leading to the bus boycott.
Mr. Blake, you were the bus driver at the 1st December 1955 in Montgomery, when something unusual happened. Can you tell us a bit about what was going on?
Sure, this was a really special situation because something like that had not happened before. But actually everything started like on other days too. I drove through the city on my regular route, and as time drew on, all the white-only seats filled up. There were some black people in the bus as well who were sitting on special seats reserved for them.
So there were some seats left?
Actually, when I reached the stop at the Empire Theatre, more white passengers boarded and all the seats were occupied so that some of them had to stand. When I noticed that, I told the black people to stand up and give up their seats. But strangely, one woman did not want to stand up, so I had to call the police.
The police? But she did not commit any kind of crime, did she?
Well, she broke the rules.
Which rules?
Didn't you ever hear of the regulation that black people give up their seats if there are no free white-only ones left?
Well, actually not. I thought there was racial segregation concerning public transport, but this, how you call it, regulation, seems to be a kind of suspect.
I think this is just fair. Why should a white man stand in the bus for like half an hour if there are others who could do this job?
The whole action led to the arrest of the young woman Rosa Parks. Did you ever feel guilty or had a bad conscience?
Oh, haha, that is what I had expected. Now you want to blame me or make me seem like someone with racist thoughts? That is just ridiculous. Since this regulation was adopted by all the bus drivers in Montgomery and every normal citizen accepted it, all the others would have acted in the same way as I did.
Okay, thank you for the interview, Mr. Blake. In contrast to our interview, we will now present an interview that really happened this way.
One thing the US election has highlighted are the great strides made over the last 50 years by the civil rights movement, which some say began in 1955, when Rosa Parks refused to give up her seat on a bus. Mothra Bogor spoke to someone who was there that night.
Mr. Blake, you were a bus driver with Montgomery Bus Service for 29 years.
Yes, sir.
And you were in fact the bus driver on the night Mrs. Parks refused to stand up for a white passenger.
Yes, sir, that is correct.
Now, you in fact asked her to give up her seat based on the colour of her skin.
I can sit here and lay my hand on my heart and swear to you that I did not notice the colour of that woman's black skin.
It played no part in you asking her to stand up.
I did not ask her to stand up. I asked her to move to the back of the bus.
Why?
Well, I thought she would enjoy it back there. She had friends back there. I thought she'd enjoy sitting and talking.
How did you know that she had friends back there?
Well, they was all Negro. I thought they'd have a lot in common.
When Mrs. Parks didn't give up her seat and didn't move to the back of the bus, you called police and you had her arrested.
I wasn't doing anything to that woman except my job. The dang bus was full and she wouldn't move to the back.
On the plus side, it led to the civil rights movement in your country.
Yes, and I'm sure under different circumstances, Miss Parks and I would have got on like a cross on fire. I admire and respect that woman and have since learned a lot about her. In fact, my family and I, we went down and we looked at that statue they done of her at the National Statuary Museum.
Yes, it's a lovely statue, isn't it? And it's a wonderful honour.
Yeah, but have you ever noticed that statue they done of her? They got her standing up.
As a result of her action, Rosa Parks was arrested and had to pay a certain amount of money for her inappropriate behavior. At that time, the Montgomery Improvement Association was founded. The aims of this group, led by its president, Dr. Martin Luther King, were similar to the ones of the civil rights movement, but included also the organization of successful boycotts, amongst others the Montgomery bus boycott, as a protest to the arrest of Rosa Parks. So the Montgomery Improvement Association developed into one of the largest and most victorious mass movements against racial segregation, which was not accepted by the whole population and confronted with terrorism of its enemies. Rosa Parks was one of the key figures in the fight against segregation in the United States of America. At her funeral in 2005, many famous people showed an interest in her death. One of them was the current President of the USA, Barack Obama, who held a speech to honor Rosa Parks.
As the governor noted, the woman we honor today held no public office. She wasn't a wealthy woman. Didn't appear in the society pages. She did not have an advanced degree from an Ivy League university. For part of her life, she worked as a seamstress. And yet, when the history of this country is written, when a final accounting is done, it is this small, quiet woman whose name will be remembered long after the names of senators and presidents have been forgotten. It's her name that will be recalled as having helped lay the foundation for a nation to live up to its creed. She called on the Lord in truth, and the Lord was near her. We remember her principally for that signature act of courage when she sat down where she had been told she could not sit, when she refused to be treated as less than, when she insisted on letting her God-given light, her dignity, and her truth shine through. And yet, has already been noted, this was just one small episode in serial acts of courage. The courage required to throw off the limitations of Jim Crow. The courage to join the NAACP. The courage to try to keep on registering to vote till they had no choice but to take her. The courage in quiet determination to work long after she had been transformed into an icon on behalf of folks who needed help. In that sense, Rosa Parks represents all those folks, all the women who decided to walk instead of ride the bus after a long day of doing somebody else's laundry and looking after somebody else's children. Representing all the men who worked as Pullman porters, didn't matter how many degrees they had after their name. She embodied all those countless small acts of courage and determination and kindness that make a path through hardship and tragedy and make a way out of no way. It's a given that I would not be here today were it not for this small woman who lies before us. Many of the people on this stage would not enjoy the accolades they enjoy had it not been for the sacrifices of this woman. We walk in the footsteps of women and men throughout the South and throughout the North, crowned as they were with humility, cloaked as they were in faithfulness. We honor them, not by words, but by committing ourselves to carry on their struggle, one solitary act at a time. We honor this woman, Rosa Parks, by finding within ourselves the courage to do what's right and to face down injustice and to trust that the Lord is near to all who call on Him, to all who call on Him in truth. Okay.